Hi everyone, today we're going to take a look at the best budget graphics cards in the market for this year. First, we're going to show you our top 10 best picks, and we'll talk about what you look for before buying a budget graphics cards. You can find links to all of the products we've mentioned in this video down in the description below. Let's get started. At the first position of our list, we have Gigabyte Radeon RX 5500 XT. If you're looking for the best budget graphics card under $200, then an RX 5500 XT is currently your best bet. At times, you could find an RX 590 or GTX 1660 FR under $200. But as of right now, the RX 590 is tough to find anywhere, and all of the GTX 1660s are over $200. So, if you've got right at $200 to spend, the Gigabyte RX 5500 XT is your best bet. This Gigabyte card features Gigabyte's dual-fan WinFork E2X configuration, a 1647 MHz base block, and 8 GB of VRAM. With its dual-fan configuration, this RX 5500 XT only measures in at 8.9 inches long, making it a good option for a small form-factor PC. Ultimately, the RX 5500 XT will be able to handle any game on a 1080p with no problems. You should expect to play most games at that resolution on at least medium settings. Moving on to the next at number 2 with Gigabyte Radeon RX 580. If you don't quite have $200 to spend, your next best bet is probably the another Gigabyte card, the Radeon RX 580 Gaming Edition. The 580 has been around for a couple of years, and it has always been a great option for gamers on a budget. This card requires a 500-watt power supply, measures in at 9.1 inches long, and comes with 8 GB of VRAM. It also has the same WinFork E2X cooling configuration at the RX 5500 XT listed above. While the RX 580 doesn't quite match the performance of the RX 5500 XT, it isn't that far behind it either. So, if you want to save till to $30 without having to sacrifice too much performance, this card is worth considering. It, too, will handle 1080p gaming just fine. The number 3 position is held by Xfx Radeon RX 570. If you have a tighter budget and you can't spend more than $150, this Xfx Radeon RX 570 graphics card is a good option. The RX 570 lags a bit behind both the RX 5500 XT and the RX 580, but it will still run most games on a 1080p monitor on at least medium settings. This card is actually the longest option on the list, measuring in at 9.6 inches long. However, it's still compact enough to where it will fit in the majority of modern cases. It also comes with a 1264 MHz base clock rate and sports 4 GB of VRAM. Overall, if you don't have the budget to get an RX 5500 XT or RX 580 or GTX 1650 Super, an RX 570 is probably your next best option. And of the RX 570s currently on the market, this XFX card offers the best price to performance as of the time of writing this article. Next at number 4, we have Xfx Radeon RX 550. If you don't have more than $100 to spend on a graphics card, you have a few options. As of right now, the best sub-$100 GPU is an RX 550. And as of the time of updating this guide, the top RX 550 currently available is Xfx's Core Edition. This card comes with a 1203 MHz base clock rate, 4 GB of VRAM, and a single-fan cooling configuration. Due to this single-fan configuration, this RX 550 measures in at just 6.7 inches long. So, it's a great option for a budget-friendly mini-gaming PC build. For performance, you can expect to run most games on a 1080p monitor on at least lower settings. For non-demanding games like League of Legends, this card will work just fine, and for more demanding games, you can play on lower settings until you have enough money to upgrade to something more powerful. The number 5 position is held by Evga GeForce GTX 1650 Super. While it might seem that I have something against Nvidia cards based on this article, the reality is that At the current price points, AMD cards seem to make more sense in the sub-$200 price range. The RX 5500 XT outperforms the GTX 1650 Super, and the RX 580's extra 4GB of VRAM and lower price than the 1650 Super make it a better buy as well. However, if the GTX 1650 Supers were to come down in price to a level similar to or lower than the RX 580, they might be worth a look. And if they do, this EVGA card would be one of the better options. It comes with a 1755 MHz base clock, 4GB of VRAM, and a dual fan configuration. It also measures in at 8.0 inches long. Overall, though, you can either spend a little more to get a better performing card, the RX 5500 XT, or you can spend less and get virtually the same performance RX 580. So, for now, the GTX 1650 Super is an honorable mention. The number 6 position is dominated by Pny Geforce Gtx 1650. Another Nvidia card that doesn't make it into our top picks due to the price it comes in. It is the non-super GTX 1650. Like the GTX 1650 Super, the standard GTX 1650 cost more than its direct competitor, the RX 570. And while the two cards are close in performance, most benchmarks show the RX 570 ahead of it in most titles. So, as of right now, the lower price tag on the RX 570 and the bump in performance make it the better buy. Of course, with graphics card prices changing on a daily basis, it is worth taking a look at 1650 prices before you make your final decision. Moving on to the next at number 7 with Gigabyte GeForce GT 1030. Another sub-$100 graphics card option is this Gigabyte GeForce GT 1030. At just under $85, it is the most affordable option on this list. And if you're working with a tight budget to build a new gaming PC or upgrade an older computer, a GT 1030 is an excellent option. It won't give you great in-game performance, especially in demanding titles, but it can hold you over until you can afford an upgrade. Ultimately, the GT 1030 is an entry-level card that won't work for most individuals. If you are strapped for cash, though, and need a cheap GPU to get you by, it should do the trick. The number 8 position is held by Nvidia GTX 1666GB. The Nvidia GTX 1666GB isn't one of the cheapest budget GPU. I would say it is borderline as to whether it fits into that category. However, as the next generation on from the popular Nvidia GTX 1060, the GTX 1666GB worth considering if you can stretch your budget a little further, or find savings elsewhere. The user benchmark FPS estimates for the GTX 1666GB version average around 111 FPS per game. Depending on the rest of your hardware, you will find performance gains from the GTX 1660's superfast GDDR6 RAM and the Turing architecture that powers Nvidia's latest generations of GPU. The 1666GB is one of the most popular Nvidia GPU of any type. Given the FPS estimates and prospective performance, you can understand why. Next at number 9, we have Nvidia GTX 1650 Super overclocked 4GB. The Nvidia GTX 1650 Super overclocked is a 4GB GPU and an excellent budget graphics card. It features the latest Turing architecture powering the newest generation of Nvidia GPU and has 4GB GDDR6 to help you enjoy the latest games with using the upper selection of settings. The fantastic users over at User Benchmark provide expedient insight into the estimated number of frames per second FPS the GTX 1650 Super overclocked achieves in a range of games. Depending on the system hardware, the GTX 1650 Super overclock delivers an average of 111 FPS across games, including Fortnite, Overwatch, GTA, and PUBG. Though this figure is skewed by the extremely high FPS achieved in older games like CSGO. Another plus point for the Nvidia GTX 1650 Super overclocked is its size. The GTX 1650 Super overclocked is a single-fan design, meaning it fits into almost every system layout and case size. Furthermore, its overall power use is low, saving you some extra pennies in the long run. Finally, the number 10 position is dominated by AMD RX 588GB. Fluctuations in the top end of the GPU market means the impressive AMD RX 588GB video card is now a steal. It comes with 2 HDMI ports, 1 DVI-D port, and 2 display ports, along with the 8GB of GDDR5 RAM. While the RX 580 is an 8GB card, it is outperformed by its Nvidia equivalent, the GTX 1070. However, the AMD RX 580 can handle most of the latest games on high to ultra settings and should enable some 1400 4K gaming, too. The AMD RX 588GB version is well reviewed, receiving glowing reports from users and critics alike. It performs well in many of the most taxing games, according to user benchmark testing, and depending on your system hardware, the RX 580 achieves over 60 FPS in GTA V, Fortnite, PUBG, and Overwatch. That's all for today. We upload computer and accessories product review videos every single day, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for the upcoming video notification.